Hello, everybody. My name is Naomi Hadaway, and I am the founder of the I Am a Triangle community and movement. And one of the things that I want to do is introduce you to our advisory board. We have 9 amazing people that sit on the advisory board of our community and help us to work through problems, find solutions, and bring really fresh ideas to the table. The I'm a Triangle community is for people who have lived abroad, who are pondering a move abroad, or are returning home. And we offer support in online spaces and in real life as well. So today we have the amazing Angela Ressa. Angela, welcome.
Hi, Naomi. Thank you.
So give us a little bit of a background. You've got this amazing story and you've been literally all over the world. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I was born and raised in Liverpool, England, which is, Beetle City, the north of England. And at 17, I left England to go live with my sister in Germany. And I didn't realize that at the time, but I was basically running away, and I kept running. So the running away from whatever that was in my childhood lasted 30 years. And so I ended up in Venezuela. I married my Italian husband, who happened to be in the hotel business. And so I moved around before I met him, and then continued to move around with him in the hotel business, which those of you in the hotel business know that's expats on steroids. So so that's it. So I've lived in 11 countries in total. And the past 4 years ago, I moved back home to Liverpool, which was huge, actually, but I was ready.
Yeah. Well, and even every time I hear someone say I moved back home, you almost imagine like home, because it's changed so much. You've changed. How did you find that process of moving home? Was it what you expected? Everything opposite?
I was ready. I was so ready to move back home. I was so ready to reconnect with my roots. When I lived in India, they used to tell me that there's a saying in Hindi that says, your mother and your mother and your home country are like heaven on earth. And I didn't get that then, because I was still running, and I'm like, I don't have a good relationship with my mother, and I haven't been home in 12 years. So much for that. But now I get it.
Yeah.
I get that now. But I was really ready to come home. And I wanted my kids to have a sense of home, because they lived overseas. They were born overseas, and they were expat kids, and that didn't feel right to me. I know it's worked for a lot of other people, but I wanted them. I feel like I'd mastered giving them the wings, but I hadn't given them the opportunity to lay down roots, and I really wanted to do that.
Well, and I think that's one of the things that I connected so strongly with you about, is the fact that you intentionally said, I'm ready to go home, and these are the reasons why I'm doing it. I don't think we talk enough about that piece of it, that going home isn't always bad. It's not always forced, and it's not always out of our control. So yeah, I appreciate that.
One size does not fit all. So by me saying I felt it was important for my children and for myself, that doesn't mean I judge people who don't make that decision. Everybody has to make their own decision for their own family and their own, sense of self, really.
Yeah, I agree with that. So tell us a little bit about your passion project. And this is you're ready to talk. Tell us about Katie's Readers.
So, while I was an expat all these years, I've been looking for something for myself to work on, and it was always in education. I was always a teacher. I home educated my children until they were 10, and I love neurodevelopment. So my education approach is more about enabling learning than it is about teaching. And so my children were my little guinea pigs in that neurodevelopment kind of thing. But when I was in Malaysia the last time, which is about 8-9 years ago now, my friend lost her daughter, her 7-year-old daughter. They were expats. They were from the States. And from the minute she went into hospital to the minute we were having the memorial service, it was a week. And so as an expat, it's still very difficult, not difficult, but it's not an easy story to share. But as an expat, you can't even imagine that happening anywhere. But as an expat, there was no family around, there was no friends. And this expat community just came and surrounded the family in this makeshift community for them to deal with this situation. And so ever the person to always look for a silver lining, and clearly there isn't one in this case. There isn't a silver lining when somebody loses a child. I decided I was going to create one. And so I came up with this idea because Katie, the little girl, she loved to read. And I came up with this idea to collect gently used books from the expat community and share them with the local community into local schools that didn't have the resources to build libraries. And that's how it started. And then, of course, 3 months later, my husband said, right, we're moving. So off we were going to Jordan. But I was determined not to let this little project go. And so I had kept all my children's homeschooling things, the books and all these manipulatives and the games and the puzzles. I didn't want to let them go before because they were so sentimental to me. But for Katie's Readers, which is what we named the project, I decided I was going to let them go. And so when we arrived in Jordan, as soon as our shipment came and I'm unpacking all these things, I put the learning material to one side and I checked with the boys, and they were fully on board with us donating everything. And so I Googled, we'd literally just been there a couple of months, and I Googled educational organization in Amman. And up came Queen Rania's organization, Madrasati. And to cut a very long story short, I contacted them and somebody came to meet me. And she said to me, if we drop the books off, the teachers won't really know what to do with them. So why don't you come and visit the schools with us? And, you can see what you can do. And that was the beginning of it. So we did. I went to visit about 10, 15 schools with this young woman, Rowan. And the information that I had about learning and education, I couldn't not jump into these classrooms. And so I gathered some brand new expat friends and we went in and we started reading to them. And then that expanded into movement activities and craft activities. In the end, we've created an entire program. Right. And we still work with Madrasati in Jordan. And now we work with Madrasati in Palestine, and we support them and we coach their teachers when they want to do a summer camp and things like this. And our most recent project, I was ready to talk right now. our most recent project is because of the Syrian refugee crisis in the region, in Jordan and in Palestine and Syria. We realized that you can't teach a child who's experiencing trauma in the same way that you can teach a child who isn't. And so I've gathered this team of experts in the States, and we are sending them to Jordan to give free trainings to the people on the ground who are serving the children who are displaced. And so it's just like from, one little idea of collecting books, which Katie's family are fully on board with. I don't do anything without their approval, because it's Katie's name, and my idea is to honor her name and have her name just spread around the world in a positive way. So
can you explain, for those that are watching, I know the story and I know all of the amazing things you're doing, but is Katie's Readers still existing where someone can participate? Because, the Triangle community, we're literally all over the world. Is there a way that our community could participate with Katie's Readers?
Well, definitely. I mean, my goal or my dream eventually, because 30 years as an expat, so I have, there's a lot of me still in that world. And my idea is that one day expats will pick up the Katie's Readers program and share it themselves. Because what we did in Jordan, we didn't, managing volunteers was not my favorite thing to do, I have to be honest. I wanted to be in the classroom. I wanted to be creating the programs. I wanted to be interacting with the teachers. And so rather than spend our time managing volunteers, we came up with this idea that we called a Pass It On program, where we train high school children in international schools or local schools, particularly those who are doing the IB, because they need these CAS hours. And so we train them in our program, and then they go with the supervision of their school and their teachers into the local schools, and they offer this interactive, dynamic ESL approach to learning. And so we leave them to it. And we've got 4 or 5 schools in Jordan now, and they keep in touch with us, they share photos with us, but they run with it.
That's amazing.
And that's what we want. We want people to pick it up, take the idea, and just share it in their own way. It's their project.
Well, and then it also has really great legs for, like you said, when someone comes home one day and says, right, we're moving.
Right.
Yeah, that's amazing. So what's the website that people can learn more?
katiesreaders.org is the Katie's Readers website. And so we don't fundraise. We have operated for now 8 years, I think it is. And we've had a grand total of $5,000 over the 8 years, and we still haven't spent it. We are now trying to get rid of our last £300. It's in the bank here. We're going to support our trauma project with that, but we don't raise funds. We believe that it's not money that makes the world go around, it's people. And so we're trying to, it's really coaching. We're coaching people to just get out there and share their passion for learning, for reading, for children, Yeah. Anybody can do that anywhere. You don't need money to do that.
And so is the trauma project, can people learn more about that on Katie's Readers?
On the website, you can go to trainings, and we have a love learning training, which is one of our first video series. So I'm not very good in the video there. We'll be redoing that soon. But we created that as a pilot program in Palestine, because the Madrasati Palestine were having a summer camp, and they asked us to support them through that. And so we created this whole training series, and we did it remotely. And that's when we realized we really don't need to raise money, because we connected with these people on the ground and we supported them. We gave them the training. They raised their own money to buy books and things like that, and they ran with it, and it was amazing. And not one of our volunteers was on the ground. We Skyped with them, and it was all remote.
That's
and it was, they because if we'd have been there, they kind of would have let us do it. It's normal. And so, we can totally do it remotely.
That's awesome.
That's on the website as well. And it just keeps growing. I mean, I don't know where it's
which is good. That's the beauty of passion projects, I think, is that because it's born from something that's so innately ingrained in with your values and how you want to impact the world, I think that it does have that room to grow. So let's transition just a little bit into community. And you and I actually met because of a community that we were both a part of, Nikki Groom's Movement Makers community. And I had been a part of her community for a long time. You also have. And one day you said something that I don't happen to go into the group platform often, but I did on a day that you had posted something. So talk to us a little bit about your definition of community and why it matters to you in terms of whether it's online or in real life. What does community mean to you?
Well, I think community, we all have a lot of communities, right? It's not just one community that we are a part of. We go to different communities for different reasons. Like with Nikki Groom, it was the whole business side and marketing and copywriting and stuff. And I think Facebook is a really good demonstration of that. Because if you look at the groups that you're a member of, you go to one group to talk about your kids and they get it. And you go to another group to talk about, you learn something from them. And with the Triangle group, obviously, it's expats. But I think what we get from the community is an opportunity to share, right? We support and then we are supported. And it's that give and take. It's really balanced. And I think that's how we can all grow, right? Mm-hmm. That's the beauty of, that's why I love Facebook, because of the community. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So if you can think back, inside of the I Am a Triangle community, is there one or two examples or something that you remember that has left an impact on you, or that's been something that you've been able to participate in, just something that's impacted you from being a part of our community?
Yeah, what I love about the Triangle group, because there's a lot of expat groups out there, to be honest, and after being an expat for 30 years, when I first started out, one of the things, that you had to have, or it was covering up, everything was perfect. Everything was fine. It was such a privilege to live this life. You dare not complain because somebody might take it away from you. And we became masters of making things work, right? But it was almost, don't talk about what's not working. It was like, don't do that. This whole keep calm and carry on was on steroids, right? But what I find is that if you bury the things that are going wrong, you start to build this resentment, because we're doing, I mean, not most, but many of us expat spouses, or whatever you want to call us, are raising our children alone, right? But nobody, in my day, when I first started out as an expat, people weren't talking about that. It was normal, right? And so it's kind of, with the triangle community, what I love is that people show up so openly and honestly about what's working and what's not working. And that was really refreshing to me, because people come and say, you know what, it sucks and I'm done. And then you get all these people responding, and some people are looking for the positive, which is great, because that's really important. But other people are saying, you know what, I feel you, I get it, I hate it too, and I'm done too, and I'm moving, you know? And so it's that balance that's, I think, really important. And that's what I love about the triangle community. And how you manage to keep it all civil, I will never know. But
I have learned my ways of popping in when needed to help remind everyone of our culture inside the community. And I think that balance that you talked about is so incredibly important, and is such a great part of our community. We have someone coming in, like you said, one day, you know, sharing the positives. And I think that helps, even if people don't always verbally respond. I think it helps just to read and say, on a bad day, that it will get better, or that there's a mix of good and bad. And the learning from each other.
Yeah, and it's okay to say, I did not enjoy living there. You know, it's not a diss on that country. It's just that place just didn't resonate with me at all.
Well, and I think what's been fun to watch people learn also is the awareness that if you were in a place, so let's use me for example, when we lived in India, my experience, if I go back now, would be completely different, because I'm a different person. My kids are a different age. You know, parenting looks different. My marriage is different, you know, so I think it's been nice to watch people realize that a bad experience in a place sometimes it was just the wrong time too. Yeah.
Or a bad experience. I mean, you know, I loved Venezuela when I was there, but I was attacked by knife point. So that could, you know, have really.
That would lend itself to.
But that's just one experience. So, I mean, it's okay to like one thing and not like another. And that's what I love about the triangle community, is we're free to express that politely and respectfully.
Yeah. So when I asked you to serve on the advisory board, if I remember correctly, your immediate response was yes, with a whole bunch of exclamation points.
Might have been a hell yes.
I think it was. What would you say? I mean, to me, I seek out opportunities to give back. I seek opportunities to lend my thoughts and the things that I've learned. So what about being asked to be on the advisory board did you resonate with, and why did you say yes?
Well, I was very surprised that you asked me, to be honest, because we literally only just met through our little group here. So I was really surprised, but I'm grateful that you invited me to. But I think, you see, I left England when I was 17, and like I said, I was running away, and I was basically trying to figure out who I was, right, all these years. And it's not easy when you move as often as I did. And, you know, you get to reinvent yourself with every move, which I affectionately call the Madonna effect of expat life, because like with every album, she reinvented herself. With every country, you have this opportunity to be whoever you want to be. And so coming back home, I really took the time to reflect on what I'd learned and who I'd met, and actually integrate it, because, you know, 30 years moving almost every 2 years, it was just the next thing. And so coming back and doing all that reflection and stuff made me realize what not only an education being an expat is, but it's a really spiritual experience. And so I was excited to bring that kind of experience to what you were trying to achieve with the Triangle Group. Yeah.
Which is great. And it's funny because when I sat down and brainstormed who I was going to ask, I really wanted it to be a well-rounded group of people that could bring different experiences, different worldviews, different perspectives. And when we met, I immediately had this amazing sense about you and your just the way that you view everything. Nothing's ever a problem. It's only an answer to a better, better solution. So anyway, I'm grateful that you're alongside with us. Okay, so starting to wrap up, a fun question. Yeah. What one location in the entire world, if you could only pick one, would you choose to live?
To live.
To live. I'm changing it up. I'm surprising you.
Okay, to live. I would have the same answer, and that's home. Because 30 years later, that's the one thing, that it's the one place I can't, or I haven't been able to go to. You know, you can get a flight and you can get a ticket, you can get an assignment in any country in the world. But home is it's that whole spiritual thing, right? It's a completely different journey, if you like. So if you've changed it to live, I'd have to say home. I had one planned, but if it was travel, but yeah, home. It's the one thing that we as expats can't grab. We can't, we have to work on it. We can't just check that box.
I love that answer. That's good. Love it.
Bhutan is the only other country that, not that I'm never going to travel again, don't get me wrong, but Bhutan is just the other one that I had. If I had to get on a plane, it would be there. But I haven't been on a plane for the past 4 years, so I don't know when that's going to kick in.
How does that feel to not have been on a plane for 4 years?
None whatsoever. None. I don't know how long that's going to last. I'm not saying never, obviously.
Yeah.
No desire whatsoever.
Okay, so for our last question, if you were only able to say one thing or one concept and the entire world was listening, what one truth have you learned, or what would be an encouragement? What would you share if you had the platform of the entire world?
No pressure, Naomi.
No, none at all.
Well, I would say that is, I don't think that's an important question, to be honest, and not your question, but for me to answer, because my truth or my lessons are not important to anyone but me. That's just the way I feel. So the more important question is, what have you learned? What is your truth, right? So if I think about that, then my answer to your question would be to look inside more often than you're looking outside.
I love it. Well, and I remember a conversation that we had, goodness, now I can't remember the context, but it was around the looking inside and reframing your entire day around that and how you start your day. So I appreciate that. Okay, tell us again where we can find you and the website for Katie's Readers.
Well, Katie's Readers is katiesreaders.com, but if you'll allow me to plug my other thing, because the thing about Katie's Readers is that I don't want to raise money at all, but obviously to send a team of experts from America to Jordan to do this work, it needs money. And so what I've decided to do with my business and with my coaching and my speaking and my business side of things, I am committing to donating 20% of my profits as that grows to Katie's Readers. And so I have kind of an umbrella company, if you like, and then these two components. One is it's called becomingangela.com, and then katiesreaders.org. And that goes under angelawalkerenterprises.com. And so if you go there, you'll get to both of them. Perfect. So, and I really want to do this without fundraising.
That's awesome.
It's a thing. Nobody believes me that I'm going to be able to do it, but I'm determined.
No, I totally think you can. So when we share this interview out, we'll have links and all of that. It'll all be on the iamatriangle.com website. Thank you for your time. Thank you for all the things that you do and for showing up and doing your things. They're amazing things.
It's a pleasure and an honor to support you in what you're doing, because I think it's amazing. And you know what? I like with Katie's Readers and my dream for that, I always think there's so many flipping amazing women out there in this world as expats that could do so much good and that are doing so much good. But if we kind of gather them, imagine what we could do.
Yeah, I keep saying when I explain what Triangle is, I keep saying what I think its real purpose is to become a platform for the sharing of all the amazing things that people are doing. Because when we work together, and this is an interesting thing that we should talk about on another interview, around collaboration and working together. And when we work together to highlight and share those amazing things, then it gives wings to all of our projects. So I totally agree.
We're going to rule the world one day. We'll just flip everything on its head, and it'll be expat spouses that rule the world.
Well, what's crazy is that our community and the definition of, I think we're all starting to fit together a little bit better, or belong together, so that we really are a really growing community, literally and figuratively. Yeah. Okay. I will let you get on with your day. Thank you so much.
I shall talk soon. Go try and make my hair curly now.
All right. Talk to you later.